Hello, welcome back. We have a new day. It's Monday. It's Monday and a new week. I just pay my bills today. $1,000 to my debt, so nothing, not much money left. But I make my final payment today to two big loans. So next month I maybe have like 400, little $400 more every month. But it's first April today, and we have to go through the whole month. This video is not English vlog video. This is just a video I read on Wikipedia, but I used to talk a bit sometimes. Actually, this is a short one. We can let's read it. Keep this in one part video. Then I can drink cola after this and talk. So this is Kalahari Desert in South Africa. That's really big. So I need a minute to do myself ready. So this desert is very large. Oh, I have to get out my bed. Okay, let's just read. I cannot get my blankets because I'm 100 kilos and I'm sitting on my blankets.
Kalahari Desert. Kalahari Desert Kalahari.png. A satellite image of the Kalahari binary whirlwind Kalahari Desert and Kalahari Basin map.svg. Kalahari Desert, maroon. Kalahari Basin, orange. Length 4,000 km. 2,500 mi. Area 900,000 km 2. 350,000 square mi. Geography countries Botswana, Namibia, South Africa. Coordinates 23 degree S 22 degree E River Orange River. The Kalahari Desert is a large semi-arid sandy savanna in southern Africa extending for 900,000 square kilometers, 350,000 square mi, covering much of Botswana and parts of Namibia and South Africa. It is not to be confused with the Angolan, Namibian, and South African Namib coastal desert, whose name is of Tuikuegawab origin and means vast place. Etymology. Kalahari is derived from the Swana word Kgala, meaning the great thirst, or Kgalagadi, meaning a waterless place winking sad smiley one. The Kalahari has vast areas covered by red sand without any permanent surface water. History. The Kalahari Desert was not always a dry desert. The fossil flora and fauna from Kwihaba Cave in Botswana indicates that the region was much wetter and cooler, at least from 30 to 11,000 BP before present, especially after 17,500 BP. 2. Geography. Drainage of the desert is by dry black valleys, seasonally inundated pans and the large salt pans of the Mkgadikgadi Pan in Botswana and Etosha Pan in Namibia. The only permanent river, the Okavango, flows into a delta in the northwest, forming marshes that are rich in wildlife. Ancient dry riverbeds called Omurumba traverse the central northern reaches of the Kalahari and provide standing pools of water during the rainy season. A semi-desert, with huge tracts of excellent grazing after good rains. The Kalahari supports more animals and plants than a true desert, such as the Namib Desert to the west. There are small amounts of rainfall and the summer temperature is very high. The driest areas usually receive coordinates 23 degree S 22 degree E. Kalahari in Namibia. Bird's eye view of the Kalahari in Namibia. The darker dots are camel thorns. Kalahari Clapen near Onderomba Pa 110 200 mm, 4.37.9 in, of rain per year, 1, and the wettest dust a little over 500 millimeters, 20 in. The surrounding Kalahari Basin covers over 2,500,000 square kilometers, 970,000 square mi, extending farther into Botswana, Namibia and South Africa, and encroaching into parts of Angola, Zambia and Zimbabwe. Numerous pans exist within the Kalahari, including the Grootvloer Pan and Vernoek-pan, where evidence of a wetter climate exists in the form of former contouring for capturing of water. This and other pans, as well as river bottoms, were written about extensively at Sci Forums. Be an article by Walter Wagner regarding the extensive formerly wet areas of the Kalahari. The Kalahari is extensive and extends farther north, where abandoned extensive roadways also exist. 3. Climate. North and east, approximately where the dry forests, savannas and salt lakes prevail, the climate is subhumid rather than semi-arid. South and west, where the vegetation is predominantly xeric savanna or even a semi-desert, the climate is Kalaharian semi-arid. The Kalaharian climate is subtropical, average annual temperature greater than or equal to 18 degrees Celsius, at peaks reaching 40 degrees Celsius and above, with mean monthly temperature of the coldest month strictly below 18 degrees Celsius, and is semi-arid with the dry season during the cold season, the coldest 6 months of the year. It is the southern tropical equivalent of the Sahelian climate with the wet season during summer. The altitude has been adduced as the explanation why the Kalaharian climate is not tropical. Its altitude ranges from 600 to 1,600 meters, and generally from 800 to 1,200 meters, resulting in a cooler climate than that of the Sahel or Sahara. For example, winter frost is common from June to August, something rarely seen in the warmer Sahelian regions. 4. For the same reason, summer temperatures certainly can be very hot, but not in comparison to regions of low altitude in the Sahel or Sahara, where some stations record average temperatures of the warmest month around 38 degrees Celsius, whereas the average temperature of the warmest month in any region in the Kalahari never exceeds 29 degrees Celsius, though daily temperatures occasionally reach up to close to 45 degrees C, 113 degrees Fahrenheit, 44.8 degrees Celsius at Trois-Rivières and Rest Camp in 2012. 5. Heavy thunderstorm near Stampriat. The dry season lasts 8 months or more, and the wet season typically from less than 1 month to 4 months, depending on location. The southwestern Kalahari is the driest area, in particular a small region located towards the west-southwest of Zaire-Sabis, southeast of Namibia. The average annual rainfall ranging from around 110 mm, close to aridity, to more than 500 mm in some areas of the north and east. During summertime in all regions rainfall may go with heavy thunderstorms. In the driest and sunniest parts of the Kalahari, over 4,000 hours of sunshine are recorded annually on average. In the Kalahari, there are two main mechanisms of atmospheric circulation, dominated by the Kalahari High Anticyclone SAD-6. The north and northwest of the Kalahari is subject to the Alternation Intertropical Convergence Zone, ITCZ, /continental trade winds. The ITCZ is the meeting area of the boreal trade winds with their austral counterparts, what meteorologists call meteorological equator, and the sailor's doldrum or potornoi. The ITCZ generates rains in the wet season, whereas the continental trade winds cause the dry season. The rest of the Kalahari is subject to the maritime trade winds, that largely shed their moisture as they cross up and over the southern African Great Escarpment before arriving over the Kalahari. There are huge subterranean water reserves beneath parts of the Kalahari. The Dragon's Breath Cave, for example, is the largest documented non-subglacial underground lake. Such reserves may be in part to residues of ancient lakes. The Kalahari Desert was once a much wetter place. The ancient Lake Mukgadikgadi dominated the area, covering the Mukgadikgadi Pan and surrounding areas, but it drained or dried out some 10,000 years ago. It may have once covered as much as 120,000 square kilometers, 46,000 square mi. 7. In ancient times, there was sufficient moisture for farming, with dikes and dams collecting the water. These are now filled with sediment, breached, or no longer in use, though they can be readily seen via Google Earth. 8. The Kalahari has had a complex climatic history over the past million or so years, in line with major global changes. Changes in the last 250,000 years have been reconstructed from various data sources, and provide evidence of both former extensive lakes and periods drier than now. During the latter, the area of the Kalahari has expanded to include parts of western Zimbabwe, Zambia and Angola. 9. Vegetation and flora. Devil's thorn flower, Tribulus zahiri, growing in the Kalahari Desert. Camel thorns scattered on dunes in the Kalahari Desert due to its low aridity. The Kalahari supports a variety of flora. The native flora includes acacia trees and many other herbs and grasses. 10. The kiwano fruit, also known as the horned melon melano, African horned cucumber, jelly melon, or hedged gourd, is endemic to a region in the Kalahari Desert, specific region unknown. 11. Even where the Kalahari Desert is dry enough to qualify as a desert in the sense of having low precipitation, it is not strictly speaking a desert because it has too dense a ground cover. The main region that lacks ground cover is in the southwest Kalahari, southeast of Namibia, northwest of South Africa and southwest of Botswana, in the south of the Kalahari Transfrontier Park. For instance, in the ZF Mgulu District Municipality of South Africa, total vegetation cover may be as low as 30.72% on non-protected, from cattle grazing, farmlands south of Twee Riviere and Rest Campan, 37.74% in the protected, from cattle grazing, South African side of the Kalahari Transfrontier Park. Sad Smiley 12. These southernmost Kalahari's arid savanna areas are truly semi-deserts. However, in all remaining Kalahari, except on salt pans during the dry season, the vegetation cover can be clearly denser, up to almost 100% in some limited areas. In an area of about 600,000 square kilometers in the south and west of the Kalahari, the vegetation is mainly xeric savanna. This area is the ecoregion identified by Worldwide Fund for Nature as Kalahari xeric savanna at 1309. Typical savanna grasses include Schmishia, Stipagristus, Aristida, and Irigristus. These are interspersed with trees such as camelthorn, Acacia areolaba, grey camelthorn, Acacia hematoxylon, shepherd's tree, Bossia albitrunca, blackthorn, Acacia mellifera, and silver clusterleaf, Terminalia cericea. In certain areas where the climate is drier, it becomes a true semi-desert with ground not entirely covered by vegetation, open as opposed to closed vegetation. Examples include the north of the ZF Mgulu District Municipality, itself in the north of South Africa, and the Keetmanshoop in the southeast of Namibia. In the north and east, there are dry forests covering an area of over 300,000 square kilometers in which Rhodesian teak and several species of acacia are prominent. These regions are termed Kalahari Acacia-Bakia woodlands at 0709.13, outside the Kalahari Desert, but in the Kalahari Basin, a halophytic vegetation to the north is adapted topans, lakes that are completely dry during the dry season, and maybe for years during droughts, such as in Etosha Pan halophytics at 0902, and Mukgadikgadi, Zambazian halophytics at 0908. 13. A totally different vegetation is adapted to the perennial fresh water of the Okavango Delta, an ecoregion and Zambesian. Flooded grasslands at 0907. 13. Fauna. The Kalahari is home to many migratory birds and animals. Previously havens for wild animals from elephants to giraffes, and for predators such as lions and cheetahs, the riverbeds are now mostly grazing spots, though leopards and cheetahs can still be found. The area is now heavily grazed and cattle fences restrict the movement of wildlife. Among deserts of the southern hemisphere, the Kalahari most closely resembles some Australian deserts in its latitude and its mode of formation. Although there are few endemic species, a wide variety of species are found in the region, including larger predators such as the lion, panther leo, cheetah, Acinonyx jubatus, leopard, Pantherpardus, spotted hyena, Crocuta, brown hyena, Paraoioana brunea, and African wild dog, Licon pictus. Birds of prey include the secretary bird, Sagittarius serpentrius, martial eagle, Polymaetus bellicosus, and other eagles, the giant eagle owl, Bubolacteus, and other owls, falcons, goshawks, kestrels and kites. Other animals include wildebeest, springbok, gemsbok and other antelopes, porcupines, Hystrix africi australis, and ostriches, Struthiocamelus. 14. Some of the areas within the Kalahari are seasonal wetlands, such as the Mcgadik pans of Botswana. This area, for example, supports numerous halophilic species, and in the rainy season, tens of thousands of flamingos visit these pans. 15. The biggest threat to wildlife are the fences erected to manage herds of grazing cattle, a practice which also removes the plant cover of the savanna itself. Cattle ranchers will also poison or hunt down predators from rangeland, particularly targeting jackals and wild dogs. Oryx gazelle. A meerkat in the Kalahari. The endangered African wild dog in Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Protected areas. The following protected areas were established in the Kalahari Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Kalahari Transfrontier Park, Kutz Game Reserve, Swalu Kalahari. Population. San Man collecting Devil's Claw, 2017. The San people have lived in the Kalahari for 20,000 years as hunter-gatherers. 16. They hunt wild game with bows and poison arrows and gather edible plants, such as berries, melons and nuts, as well as insects. The San get most of their water requirements from plant roots and desert melons found on or under the desert floor. They often store water in the blown-out shells of ostrich eggs. The San live in huts built from local materials. The frame is made of branches, and the roof is thatched with long grass. Most of their hunting and gathering techniques replicate prehistoric tribes. Bantu-speaking Swana, Kalahari, and Hero and a small number of European settlers also live in the Kalahari Desert. The city of Windhoek is situated in the Kalahari Basin. Kalahari, San and Diamonds. In 1996, De Beers evaluated the potential of diamond mining at Gope. In 1997, the eviction of the San and Bak Kalahari tribes in the Central Kalahari Game Reserve from their land began. 17. In 2006, a Botswana High Court ruled in favor of the San and Bak Kalahari tribes in the reserve, finding that their eviction was unlawful. The government of Botswana granted a permit to De Beers Gem Diamonds /Gope Exploration Company, Party, Limited to conduct mining activities within the reserve. 18. Settlements within the Kalahari. Botswana Gaborone.